We continue the 2021 season previews today with the Washington Capitals, a team who just went through a lot of change. They went through their coach. They lost to the New York Islanders in the first round after pretty much destroying the NHL for a little bit there in 2019-20. Yeah, things are looking very different for this team. You know, they go into the regular season, play so well, and then they can't have playoff success. And hopefully that's the change of that. This core is aging. But they did bring in some young forwards. They did bring in some guys who will definitely help out the team in the short-term side of things for a little bit there. And yeah, they're holding on, but I'm not sure how long that's going to be. So let's get into what happened last season for the Washington Capitals and what can happen. Can't talk today. What can happen next season or 2020-21 from my perspective. First off, if you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel if you haven't already. And also, if you haven't already, please go down and subscribe below. That made no sense, but you know what I mean. So we're at 679 subscribers at the time of recording this video, and we are almost 20 subscribers away from 700. I almost said 800. But yeah, this has been amazing. I'm so excited. I'm so happy that you guys are bringing me this much, and I don't deserve it. Maybe we can make it to 700 before the season starts. That's definitely a big possibility. This is our first of two previews coming out in the next few days. So, you know, we're almost done with the previews. And after that, we'll do standings predictions. And then we're going to do what I have planned for you guys for 2020-21, which I've already discussed a little bit, but you know what I mean. So, yeah. Anyways, let's get into the actual preview and what happened last season for the Washington Capitals. Last season, Washington had, above all, a great season. You can't really say anything else about this. There was a point where they were just absolutely just, like, on fire, burning rubber, plowing through every team they played against. They played 69 games, had 41 wins, 20 losses, and 8 overtimes for a total of 90 points in a shortened season. So, you know, at the start of the season, I want to say like December or November, December, they were plowing through teams. Like they were showing no mercy at all. Like they were winning games. Them and the New York Islanders and the Bruins too. Like they were just plowing through teams. The Capitals went on probably a 10-game win streak, I'm pretty sure. You know, they plowed through everyone, and they finished 5th in the NHL, which is great since this team is really aging in core. And then COVID hit, and I think that's what killed them. If COVID didn't hit them, we may have seen something different. And honestly, we may have even seen something different in the playoffs too. Like Philly could have made it a lot further. That's not being me being biased. I'm just saying Philly was hot at the time of the pause. So, you know, take that what you will. They lost to the New York Islanders in the first round in 5 games. They weren't there. That's the one thing that I said. They weren't there. I didn't see them there. Like, they just weren't. They weren't playing. They weren't putting in the commitment. They weren't doing the things that they needed to do to actually stay in the playoffs. And they played good one game, and they got destroyed the rest of the way. It really just wasn't a good playoffs all in all for Washington. You know, they fire their coach. They leave a lot of guys. A lot of guys leave. A lot of key guys, too, by the way, from this 2018 Cup team. And then they bring in a lot of new guys. It's just looking pretty interesting for Washington heading into 2021. Your key departures for the Washington Capitals consist of, starting off on the goaltending side there, you have Braden Holtby, who, depending on who you ask, he did not have that good of a season. I mean, his season was above a 500 record, but you could tell that he was kind of biting off the loose end on Washington. He was really just on his way out of there, honestly. I mean, Holtby, he played good in 2018. He played all right in 2019. You know, it sucks. It always happens. You always have to move on from a team. It is what it is. I mean, Braden Holtby, it's going to be weird not seeing him in Washington, seeing him in Vancouver. But, you know, take out what you will. They also lost defenseman Radko Gudas, who is probably a good depth physical forward. He'll do pretty well in Florida, as I already said before. Forward Ilya Kovalchuk. Kovalchuk was a rental, honestly, or was going to be a rental, and then, you know, the pause happened, and everything with that didn't really perform that well in the playoffs. And then you had forward Travis Boyd, who was really just a depth forward there. So the departures aren't too big, depending on how you look at it. Braden Holtby may sting in the locker room areas, but I think that everything in there is fine. Holtby, you know, just wasn't really playing well, and I mean, it just, when it comes to time to move on, you just have to move on. So, you know, in the offseason too, this team also lost their coach Todd Reardon. I didn't include that in there because you know, everything with that. And there you go. So that's your key departures. They may hurt in some areas, but I think that all in all, this team will come out of them not really too bad in hurting. Your key arrivals for the Washington Capitals today consists of defenseman Justin Schultz. He's going to be a good depth defenseman there. Forward Connor Sheary. I think their second to newest acquisition. Up to date. Sheary, I think, will play as a depth forward in Washington. Defenseman Trevor Van Riemsdyk for some more depth. Paul Ledoux for some even more depth. And then here's the big one. Head coach Peter Laviolette. So Laviolette, coming from Nashville, being fired earlier this season. Actually, that was almost a year ago. Like, that's kind of amazing, too. Almost a year ago, and we're discussing that now. So, like, it's amazing to see how, coaches can swap from areas to other places at just such a rapid time, Coaches are going to get fired this season, too, so it's going to be pretty interesting. So, yeah, Laviolette, I think, will definitely bring some good offense, some good coaching to Washington, and he's going to have a lot more experience. I remember him with Philadelphia. He's going to play well. He's going to coach well. Not play well, coach well. I put Craig Anderson in here as a question mark because he is on a PTO. Depends on if he's signed or not with Washington. He may not. He probably will. But yeah, if Craig Anderson gets in there, he's probably going to be a third goaltender or maybe even a backup, depending on how you look at it. And then you have defenseman Zdeno Chara as a good seventh defender. Not going to play third pairing. Not going to play third pairing that much. If he is going to play third pairing. So, just saying, take that what you will. Chara's not really much to anything in Boston. Washington. Honestly, I think it would be a better fit in Boston, but you know what I mean. So there you go. And then I also had, I didn't put Henrik Lundqvist on there because Lundqvist, unless he gets re-signed by the Capitals, it's basically just nothing. Because, he went out with his heart surgery and stuff. I mean, I get that. I 100% get that. He's scheduled for his surgery in a couple weeks. So I absolutely get that. I absolutely respect that. I just didn't include him in the key arrivals because he's not going to play a single game for them. So what's the point of including him? But yeah, take that what you will. And anyways, let's get into the projected lineup. Just got to move over here for a second so I can see the lineup. Left wing side there, you have Alex Ovechkin. You have Jacob Vrana, Carl Hagelin, Daniel Sprong, and then you have Connor Sheary as your fill-in guy. On the center core there, you have Evgeny Kuznetsov, Nicholas Backstrom, Lars Eller, and Nick Dowd as your center core there. Right wing side, you have Tom Wilson, TJ Oshie, Richard Panik, and Garnet Hathaway. So let's go top six there. Top six, first line, Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Wilson. A good offensive line. Kuznetsov, underratedly good this season. I think he didn't get that much attention than he deserved. He played pretty well. Ovechkin's Ovechkin, so there's nothing really I could say there. And then you have Tom Wilson, who will play as a physicality role on that line there. On your second line there, you have Jacob Vrana, Nicholas Backstrom, and TJ Oshie. Another good offensive line there as well. I think that will definitely help. And then the bottom six there, you have, starting off on the third line, you have Hagelin, Eller, and Panik. Panik, I don't know. He is a meta character for me. Eller, I think, is a pretty underrated center still. And then you have Hagelin as well, who still can put up about 30 to 40 points a season. And then you have Daniel Sprong, Nick Dowd, and Garnet Hathaway, who were underrated forwards as well. So, and then you have Sheary as a filling guy, and then a few other guys down there. So, the top six doesn't look bad. I think their center core is the best part there. Honestly, I think the center core is the best thing for this team right now. Because Kuznetsov and Backstrom, that's a good top six center core. And then you have Eller and Dowd. Dowd is a question mark for me, but I think Eller is a pretty underrated and good center. I mean, he scored a winning goal in 2018 for them for the Cup. So, take that what you will. And yeah, this team just looks good on the top six. The bottom six, that does leave a little bit to be desired. They may want to bring in another forward. I'm not exactly sure how you want to profile that. Washington Capitals fans, you can tell me what you think about that. It wouldn't surprise me if they bring in another forward. But, this team looks good on the top six. The bottom six, they may want to bring in another guy to generate goal scoring. But yeah, apart from that, this team looks pretty good, honestly. Moving on to your defense there. Starting off on the lefty side, you have Brendan Dillon, Dmitry Orlov, Jose Siegenthaler, and then you have Zdeno Chara. On the right side there, you have John Carlson, Justin Schultz, Nick Jensen, and Trevor Van Riemsdyk. So let's go pair by pair. Dillon and Carlson. Dillon didn't play too bad for his tenure in Washington last season. I mean, he was traded at the deadline by San Jose. So, hey there. So take that what you will and everything going on with that. I think Dillon will play good top pairing. Orlov and Schultz, although it wouldn't surprise me if Orlov moves up to that top pairing And then, Orlov and Schultz pairing will be pretty good. I mean, Schultz is playing with a enemy, but you know what I mean. So take that what you will. And then you have Siegenthaler and Jensen as your third pairing. I think that's another good third pairing as well. Good some depth there. And then you have Chara and Trevor Van Riemsdyk as your filling guys. So yeah, I look at that and I say, okay, so that looks good. I'm optimistic for the lefty side there though. I think Orlov will definitely push for top pairing with Carlson, and that's probably what it will end up to be. So yeah, although this defense lost Radko Gudas, I think it still looks pretty good. I think it still has a lot of depth. I think if someone gets injured, they can bring someone up and have him play decent for the time in Washington. This team, the defense, the thing is with that, it doesn't matter much about points. Sometimes, a lot of the time, I lay my projections on offense, and honestly, I don't know why I project my defense on that, and it just doesn't make sense. So points don't really matter when it comes to defense. So I'm excited that they do to a degree, but the meaning of defense is to get the puck away from your net. So I think if someone comes in there, they'll be able to do that, and I think this whole team can do that generally for most of the time. So I'm excited to see how they're going to do that. And looking at the goaltending, they low-key need to do that. So moving on to your goaltending there, you starting from the starting position, you have Ilya Samsonov, and then you have Phineas Copley, and then you have Craig Anderson if he signs as a third goaltender. No Lundqvist, because everything can happen with that. So I look at that, and I say, all right, so Samsonov and Copley, a good tandem. Copley, I think, is pretty underrated as a backup. I think he will play solid for Washington, but it just looks a little bit scary because, he's not really that well of a known goaltender. And then you have Ilya Samsonov, who's going to play his first full season as a starting goaltender. That's the confusing thing. I think Samsonov will definitely put up at least 20 wins for Washington. I think that's definitely a given, but I'm not sure. Honestly, I think that Samsonov and Copley are going to be your tandem, and Copley's going to get a lot more games than you think he's going to get. That's the thing. The backups are going to be really dependent on this season. So it's horrible for Washington because, you know what I mean? So, it's a 56-game season. Washington gets rid of Braden Holtby, and now what? So now your goaltending's kind of screwed. But yeah, I think Samsonov will play good as a starting role. I think Copley will play good as a backup. And if Anderson comes in there for a little bit, I'm not sure how he'll do. He's goaltender for me. Honestly, it's just confusing when it comes to him because how he played in Ottawa. I take that what you will, but I think Washington's a much better team. So yeah, the goaltending, if Samsonov can hold out, this is a pretty good goaltending line. The defense looks good. The lefty does leave a little bit to be desired. The top six on the forwards looks good. The bottom six may need one more forward to generate goal scoring. But yeah, apart from that, this team looks like the team that they had in 2019-20. Just a few losses. The playoff prediction for the Washington Capitals is just a big question mark for me, honestly. I had them finishing either 5th or 4th. Honestly, I think that Washington will either scrape in or they'll just barely miss it. Honestly, I think that's the big thing with this Washington Capitals team. They're heading into an incredibly competitive East Division. And, you got Boston, New York, Philadelphia. I've said it so many times. It's not even worth saying it anymore. But yeah, this team in that division, they have a lot of great goal scorers. They have a pretty young goaltender. It's just a huge question mark what they're going to do. Honestly, I think, I have Capitals fans saying they'll finish 3rd, they'll finish 2nd, or they'll finish 4th. I don't know. I don't know if there's enough room for them in there. Because, I have my guys making it are the Islanders, the Bruins, and the Flyers. That's not being biased at the end there. But yeah, I think that those are the 3 teams that make it. That are confirmed to at least just make it, or at least have a huge shot at making it. And is Washington that 4th team? Because I've been saying for a long time, Pittsburgh's that team. Pittsburgh could be that team. Washington can be that team. New York can even be that team. And I think if Buffalo and New Jersey can get off the good starts, they can push for that as well. So it's just an insane thing when it comes to that. So it's just confusing. So yeah, take that what you will. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button as we're trying to get to 700 subscribers by June 2021. Thank y'all for the constant support on the channel. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the final preview. And this is our last team for the West, by the way, or the East. And our final preview of the entire series with the Winnipeg Jets. Thank y'all for watching.